everybody. Welcome to the Coach's Call. Boy, a lot going on in sports. Baseball kicked off, some exciting times there, but it's the end of March, beginning of April. I'm still not ready for baseball. There's a lot of stuff going on in hockey. There's a few things that I want to talk about on this edition. A couple of Toronto Maple Leaf things. I want to cover the Treliving item, the Gudas engagement and the code. And I want to talk a little bit about Arber Xhekaj and the Montreal Canadiens. But let me start with the firing of Brad Treliving by the Toronto Maple Leafs. And what I want to do for a moment is just pause, and I want to show you a video from here on the Coach's Call from not that long ago, where I actually talk about Brad Treliving and what he means to the Toronto Maple Leafs in terms of, was he the right fit? So let's pause for a moment. Let's watch that video and then I'll come back.
Let me start with Treliving, their general manager. And I said a long time ago, Treliving was the wrong GM for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I said he was going to decimate this team and destroy it in terms of assets and players. And I think that has sort of come true. We saw the debacle that was the Mitch Marner deal. Definitely didn't get anything back for that. We know prior to Treliving, the assets were already low. And he really hasn't really retooled. You see him casting the line out, bringing in some signings throughout the year and then throwing them back out, like Sammy Blais is an example, right? He kind of did that and then cast them back out. I think that, yeah, he moved Lawton and yeah, he moved Waugh to Colorado and got some assets. And sometimes general managers make good trades sometimes, and sometimes a good trade will just fall upon them. And I just have to believe, knowing Treliving and his record, that the deal with Waugh getting that first round pick and the other assets, that I feel that just fell on him. Like the market was just it sparked at the right time. That we had that Parayko deal going on, we had some other deals going on, and the market just bumped up just in time for him to kind of to get that back in. I don't know, and I don't know Treliving. I'm just observing again what I see on TV and what we hear in the news and all that. But I don't know that he could make that deal in a normal market, and so I think that fell into his lap a little bit. And I look at what his body of work in Calgary, and I just feel like what he did in Calgary, he replicated in Toronto. And that's not a good thing because you see Calgary, they're still trying to figure it out after Treliving is gone, how to, retool, rebuild, now with them.
Okay, so there you have it. I've said it on the Coach's Call. I've called it before. I've talked about Brad Treliving a couple of times. And was this the right move for the Toronto Maple Leafs? It was. They're correcting something that should have never happened in the first place in terms of hiring Brad Treliving. They knew the body of work in Calgary, and yet they went ahead and they brought him in. Maybe it's all for the best, to be honest. He is not the guy that they needed to keep in order to move that team forward. It will be interesting to see what they decide to go and do now. But boy, just like goalies and just like superstars that have gone to the Toronto Maple Leafs, there is a graveyard of some really good general managers, really good coaches. I still think the Toronto Maple Leafs have a culture problem that goes beyond bringing in some of those individuals because they succumb to the Toronto media. And I think the Toronto media has far too much influence on this team, and the team and the organization placates to it, and they need to go through some suffering without placating to that media, without placating to the fans. I'm sorry, fans, without placating to you, the armchair GMs out there. Maybe I'm one of them too, not for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but it is a hot topic, so I'm covering that off. So called it here on the Coach's Call. Brad Treliving was not for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and out he goes. And now, nothing against, by the way, nothing against Brad Treliving, probably a really nice guy, like I've said before, but it's time to move on from that. The next item that I want to cover is Gudas and the code. And what we've seen is that after the hit from Gudas on Matthew that took Matthew out, there's the whole response from the Toronto Maple Leafs where, you know, they come to the aid of their teammates, and you're seeing a transition. Am I seeing a transition back to truculence again? Boy, I don't know. It just seems like a vicious cycle with this team where they're either going to be a good scoring team or a good playoff team aspiring to be, or they have to demonstrate truculence. They can't find a balance for both. But here's the thing. Here's the thing with the Gudas and the retribution and the revenge, okay? So that game happens, Austin Matthew gets hurt, Gudas gets suspended. Now we have a situation where Anaheim's going to play the Toronto Maple Leafs again. And Gudas says, put me in the lineup. I'm going to take my lickings. I'm going to go in. They're going to come after me. Let me go fight. He knows it. The Toronto Maple Leafs know it. The NHL knows it. The referees know it. Everybody knows it. And I know there's going to be some of you out there that say, wow, you don't know hockey. You don't know anything about hockey if you say that this fight shouldn't happen, that these things shouldn't happen. Here's what I know. There's no need for it to happen, okay? Anywhere else in life, planning a fight matters, okay? If I was to apply just general knowledge, the Criminal Code of Canada, okay? Assault is intentionally applying force to another person without consent, even a shove or a punch, okay? Now, look, in the course of hockey, the battle happens. I get it. The fights happen. They're sort of spontaneous. But when you're pre-planning a fight, okay, even if both people agree to fight, it does not make it legal. It shouldn't happen, okay? Planning actually makes it worse. If it's pre-planned, it shows that you have intent to cause harm. It's premeditation. In real life, it actually leads to harsher charges, okay? I've said it before. I'm sticking to my guns. It's a Neanderthal way to approach the game, all right? This should have never happened. Do I think that the hit on Matthews by Gudas was wrong? I do. Absolutely. 100%. Do I think that 5 games, the suspension that Gudas got, was adequate? No, I don't. The NHL's got it wrong. NHL Disciplinary and Players Association, they all have it wrong. Okay? And I've said that before too. But it doesn't make it right, and it doesn't make it good for the game. Sure, it was entertaining to watch Domi throw all the punches for the Leaf fans. I get it. I do. Right? And Gudas let him do it. He let him throw those punches. You saw Gudas's fist all cocked up to hit him back, but he didn't. Okay? He took his lickings. It was premeditated. They were going to go in. They were going to do this. The NHL knows this is happening. There should be phone calls to say, don't make this happen. Respect the game. Keep the game good. If the fight happens in the course of the game, not premeditated, it happens in the course of the game. This was vengeance. This was revenge. This was premeditated. It doesn't belong in the game. Clean your act up, NHL. Okay? I truly, truly believe that. Now, there's one other item, and that's the item that I want to talk about, and that's Arber Xhekaj. Okay? Montreal Canadiens have left Arber Xhekaj out of the lineup for several games leading up to the last couple of days, and then they insert him in the lineup. Okay? If the Montreal Canadiens want to have some success in the playoffs, and it depends on the type of team they play too, right? Arber Xhekaj needs to be in the lineup. Okay, I was watching some of the last couple of games, and yeah, Jaden Struble was there, but the team, while they were winning, they were getting bounced around a little bit. You take Josh Anderson out of the lineup, who does a lot of hitting, Brendan Gallagher's getting a little long in the tooth, playing great hockey. He's skating actually much better than I've seen him skate in a long time. But you need the presence of Arber Xhekaj, okay? And now they've moved him up into the forward position the last game. But when you look at the body of work that Arber Xhekaj provides, right, over the course of this season where he's played about 55, 56 games, he's delivered 149 hits. That's 2.7 hits per game. Okay. When you look at defensemen across the league, the top 10 defensemen who are laying the hits, Arber Xhekaj is one of them. He is number 6 in the league. And I'm saying number 6, like you've got the league hitter in Lozon at 190. Gudas is up there at between 140, 150. Dylan, 140 plus. Zadarov, 130 to 140. Anderson is in there at 120, but Arber Xhekaj is in there. He's in that range of 140 to 150. He's in your top 10. And that's what you want. You want to have a guy who can hit the body, take the other guys down. Now, a move to forward might actually be a good move. It allows them to penetrate that offensive zone, utilize them in some different situations, and you've got him as an extra backup on defense if you so need him. But I truly think the Montreal Canadiens, this armchair GM is saying, put the Sheriff in the lineup. He brings some excitement. He's a hard-hitting guy. He plays hard. His puck handling has improved. His skating has improved. His hockey sense has also improved if you watch how he moves things around. Is he a minus right now? I think he was a -5 the last time I looked. But you have to look at what I talked about in the last coach's call as well, and that was the Montreal Canadiens goal differential. Some of the pains that they were going through with their goaltending, which may be resolved now with Dobesh and Fowler in there. And if you look at the way the Montreal Canadiens have changed their approach to defensive play, they've made some improvements there. And that's not because Arber Xhekaj was out of the lineup. It's just because they changed the way that the system was going to work a little bit. And that's why you've seen their goal differential increase, okay, and doing well. So there you have it. Treliving out. I called it. Gudas and the code. No place for it in hockey. Montreal Canadiens, Arber Xhekaj. Put him in the lineup. He delivers hits. Take care. Thanks for joining me. Hope you're back next time.